You are live, I think.
Where's the link? Can I see the chat? Marcelo, can you send
Yes.
me on Slack?
Say hi to people. Hi,
Or
people.
Sue?
Hi, people. David and I will have to temporarily pause our argument to do some YouTube, and then we
We'll
can
have a
be back.
chance to resume it pretty soon if we're going to
I
talk about our IDEs.
I
That
cannot
is that is true.
I cannot send to you the link. You need to look into our Slack or on LinkedIn
Okay,
because I don't know technology.
I'm good.
Um, this may go down amazingly as the most chaotic YouTube so far, at least for me. Um, um, anyway, well, what are we talking about today, guys?
Today we're talking about our setup. So the three of us have different setups. Samuel, what do you have?
I have very recently moved over from being a very long-term PyCharm user to using Zed, which I'm a big fan of. Yeah, I can talk more about why I love Zed, but I'm not gonna. I'll
What's
let
the
you guys.
website? Zed.dev.
Yeah, I think it is Zed.dev.
And
I
you,
think you should.
Dave?
If you're prepared to screen share it, you should. Well, I use PyCharm still. I use too many of its features to get off of it. I hate how bad it is at type checking these days, but it's so good at everything else. I have all the muscle memory, navigating, etc. I will say I don't use it for AI. I've heard there are some good uh, tools for essentially agentic workflows. Like I've heard of sweep.dev. I think they released Junie, which I haven't tried yet.
What's Junie?
I think Junie is like the JetBrains version of like Cursor Agent.
Can you share Junie a link to the chat or
I'm just
it's
gonna
like
Google
the
Junie
it's like the copilot for PyCharm?
JetBrains. I think it's the coding agent. Like it's
Ah, nice.
sidebar coding agent. It's just jetbrains.com/Junie JUNIE. I need to try it, but anyway, I've heard of other things that could do this too. But I mostly today I just switch over to Cursor. I'll tab over to Cursor if I want to.
So you're like coding on PyCharm and then you just open Cursor
I
to
don't.
do.
Yeah, it's honestly kind of rare that I feel like I want it to do something that like it will do a good job at. I end up writing a lot of code that's like kind of, I don't know, too complicated for it, I guess. But when I have something that I expect it to be helpful, if I switch over to Cursor.
I see.
Uh,
And Samuel, why moving to Zed from PyCharm?
Um, Obviously, the source of the frustration is that, and I think I explained this a bit last week. PyCharm are obviously been around for a long time. They have their own language server that tries to infer Python types. Back in like 2015, that was the most powerful, I think, by far. Today, they really struggle from the fact that like they're still trying to maintain that. It's closed source. It's not also a type checker, so Zed, which is obviously just Cursor, which is obviously just a like thin wrapper around VS Code from I won't be rude. And Zed are both using Pyrite. So like the point is you're getting the same language server as you're using for your type checking, and so for the most part the two match up. PyCharm suffer from that, and they've because they're maintaining their own thing, they have struggled to keep up with new types in Python. The reason I was compelled by Zed started off being like that it was written in Rust and I thought it would be performant. I had liked the Atom editor, which the Zed creators had previously built, which ironically was, so Atom came out of GitHub. They invented, what was it called? The Electron, which was the way of basically using HTML to render a desktop application. That then became Electron, then is what VS Code is built with. They then realized quite rightly that trying to use web technology to build an IDE was a mistake, and that's why they've gone and built Zed in Rust. The thing that I love about it now, not just as a speed, but is the aesthetic. I think it's really pretty. It's very configurable. I know
Can
I
you
know
show
David's
us?
gonna like take the piss out of me, but I care about that. I like that stuff.
I hate their search results window. It's like, I think PyCharm gets it best. And by the way, Charlie Marsh called out. He actually called out VS Code for having like a caveman interface. I saw compared to PyCharm, but or I don't know. He maybe used other JetBrains IDs, but
So,
I don't. Zed is somewhere in between.
can you share how does Zed looks like for the people that doesn't know about it?
I will. I'm going to do a bit of a mea culpa or omission right now, which is that I loaded up Zed this morning, and they have a bug at the moment with Python environments, particularly when you have multiple PyProject.toml files. So one of the other things I love about Zed is we have a Slack channel, and I reported it to them, and they have fixed it partially already, which is a great. Although obviously not. I'm suggesting scalable to everyone. So I am. Not looking at PyProject, at PydanticAI right now. I'm looking at my talk from Data Council last week. So this is Zed. Yeah, I really like the aesthetic of the whole thing. It's very configurable. I've managed to set up some, even in the short time I've been using it, some neat things which I can go through. But yeah, this is the basic look and feel.
Why do you like it better than VS Code?
Aesthetically.
Or any other reason, but yeah, I mean, to me, it looks the same as VS Code, basically.
I'm not going to try and explain the aesthetics. I think it's like simple, minimalist. I like it, but I'm not going to try and like reason about aesthetics with you. I could talk about the features of it.
You do like it aesthetically better than VS Code? Like, I see a difference to PyCharm, but I'm also just biased.
Let me open VS Code. I'm like, I mean, look, okay, I've got it set up with a theme that I particularly like, but like, it's just ugly. Like in my humble.
You're not even using it yet. It's just open the app.
I don't want
to. It's already just blasting his eyes.
I'm gonna open a file. Look, I'm sure you can do stuff to make for a nicer font, yada yada. Like maybe you can theme it better. I really like the. I mean,
okay.
Go on.
No,
I'm
not asking you to.
The two difference that I see is on the left side you have those things in VS Code, and here you don't. Like,
you do. They're in the icons are in the bottom left.
I see.
I will say one thing I have struggled with in Zed is some of their icons are super small because I think they assume you're going to do everything with keyboard shortcuts, which once you set that up is great, but when you're learning, it's like different. The agent panel works, but like for example, the fact that you can like close existing conversations here and open new ones up here is a bit confusing. I'm not gonna like that. So this is Zed preview. I think they're going to release their agent stuff fairly soon. There's some agentic stuff in stable, but it's not really there yet. That would be my only build. Kind of. But
what's the difference?
It just has the features they haven't released yet.
It has the agent stuff. If you open standard, it doesn't have it.
The main difference today.
Sorry, but what you opened right now, what is that? It's just
this is the code. This is the agent functionality.
It's like the same as Cursor or whatever.
Yes. So
sorry,
I can show you a conversation I had yesterday with it, where I was getting it to build me a simple solid.js app to be the front end for something. You can see it like going through. I had some, fixed some issues with CSS. It struggled with the new post CSS because the types have changed since the like training. But like, yeah, this stuff is cool, but is like I said, my only feedback, my only comment on that is that like some of these buttons are a bit small if you're new to it.
And someone that I cannot pronounce the name is asking, what's your settings on Zed?
I'm going to open my settings and you're both going to troll me heavily because it's a like litany of some cool things going on. So I'm using this cappuccino theme, which I quite like. So I think if I comment this out, you'll see I go back to like default theme. I quite like this one. I was using Ollama for completions when I was on a flight the other day. So I was playing with Ollama as the default inference provider. That was me setting up Ollama. I have a few customizations in terms of like font size and stuff like this. And then the main thing I fiddle around with a whole bunch is like which language server to use in Python. And also there's nice support for the Dino language server when I was working on MCP run Python. At the moment, I'm like commenting that in and out when depending on switching projects, but I think there was some file I could add that would mean I didn't need to do that. The other customization I have is the key map, where I've basically set up a bunch of mostly I've just set up stuff to be roughly the same as PyCharm, and it basically all just works now, even though I'm like very used to PyCharm, it all works. The neatest thing of all that I've done is, so when I was presenting at Data Council the other day, I like to present from a markdown file, so I'll literally have this full screen and basically talk through like myself like this. You know, I'm talking first slide, what I'm going to talk about. Then so this is just a markdown file. I have some code, but like here I have a real example of Python code, obviously nested with code fences within Markdown. I set up a task in Zed to allow me to run snippets. So because the cursor is in this example, if I do Control Enter, it will go and run this particular snippet itself. So I don't have to leave
how did you get it to do that? Is that built in, or is that a?
So what I've got is I've got a task. So this is where I configure these like custom tasks, I think. And here I have a task which that's like run current file. But then I have a task which runs this Python file. And if I open
interprets where you are. Yeah, I see.
And then if I open, let me come out of, I've got myself confused.
That's cool. How does it know to do that when you hit your keyboard shortcut?
So this task is called run Python. And then you saw when I was in awesome. Settings, I had a specific note.
In your keyboard.
I have like spawn task linked to Control Enter, and the task name is run Python.
Oh,
and then
cool.
if I open this file, this is basically, if it's a markdown file,
right, it just parses out the block you're in. Yeah.
And there's basically the neat bit is there's an environment variable for like cursor line number, so I can just find the current line number, expand from there to get a code fence, write it into temp, run it, and output whatever I want. So I can also use this from inside like an example. I don't know if this is going to run, but like I can just again do Control Enter and it'll do the same thing.
Anurag is
asking. I need that with the debugger.
They are not seeing rough in your Zed. Is it you don't have it configured or something?
I think I have not configured it all. I probably should do. I'm just running like make format when I'm working on PydanticAI or whatever project. So
basically you just run it in the console.
One of the reasons I've been able to switch over relatively easily is, for the most part, I still use the standard Boomer macOS terminal for most things I do. And so I'm not too used to using the IDE itself for stuff. I'm beginning to actually, since I've set up this shortcut and I can just run a file, it's pretty neat. And I'm beginning to start using that stuff in Zed, but even after 10 years of PyCharm, I did most stuff in the terminal still.
Should we move on? Or Marcel, did you want to talk about your setup? I mean, you didn't talk about it much. So I don't know how interesting it is. Maybe it's very boring.
Do any of you use Cloud Code? Do you use it, Simon?
I don't. I know Adrian uses it occasionally. I guess because is that the GitHub code spaces. I don't know if Cloud Code is a general name or a particular one, but like I know some of our team use the GitHub code spaces sometimes, particularly because the networking is better. I don't, and again, that's partly because GitHub code spaces works very nicely with VS Code. So if you're like comfortable in VS Code or any of its like imitations, like Windsurf or Cursor, presumably you can like drop into it very easily.
I know Dawa, who just joined the team, he uses dev containers for everything, like SSHs into his home. He's got like a fairly like beefy setup at home, and regardless of where he has like a shell laptop, and he just SSHs into his like home setup, and whatever, has some integrations with his IDE.
How does that
and
work?
Runs everything. I think it works best when you have just a little bit of internet.
Yeah.
It doesn't work if you have zero.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can we go to the next topic?
Well, do you want to talk about cursor and how you use it, Marcelo?
Yeah, I think I'm not sure if I need to share my screen. Let's see how this works. I'm gonna try it. So I'm gonna try to share my, which is it, entire screen. Let's see how does this work. So people, I think, are going to be seen duplicated. Let's see, and then cursor. Okay. Can you check on YouTube? How does it look?
Let me try and find
Waiting
it.
Let's see if people can also reply. I think it looks okay, but I think it's 10 seconds of delay. Let's see what they say.
Yeah, it looks right to me. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just getting there now.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
maybe
looks
to
good to me.
to look. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's all good.
So yeah, I mean, this is cursor. I think the nice stuff is the agent that both of that Zed also has. What else? One thing that I like a lot is the, hold on, let's create a main 2, and then from I like, actually it's better when we go to a file, and then
People are complaining your voice seems far away again, Marcelo.
not again. I don't know what I changed. Hold on. I cannot change it now. Looks good. Is it better now? Well, let's see.
You just have to talk quickly, and then we can move on.
Okay, so when you do this, I don't know. Zed does this like it does in cursor? You know? It's a question.
What was the question? Sorry.
Like if you like remove the middle part of the code, does it complete for you?
I think I was mentioning this to you when we were on a call today. One of the things I found that's really neat about Zed's autocomplete is it will do stuff like this, or like it will do autocompletes that are not basically from the cursor onwards. It'll be like around where you are in the code. So like if you start typing something, it might like autocomplete, adding a like context manager with block. I don't know whether whether cursor can do that.
Context man. What did you say? What did you say?
I'm not like I'm trying to think of a good example, but like failing to come up with a good example. But basically, the point is that like the autocomplete is not just from like forward from where the cursor is. It can be like following a few lines on, or it can be behind the cursor, which I know that PyCharm won't do. PyCharm's PyCharm's GitHub Copilot will only complete from exactly where you are.
Yeah, for me, it does jump into lines. I'm pretty much just pressing tab when I'm working on this. So it moves around and it moves around. Like, for example, if I change the, let me try to find a code. So if I move this to ski, well, it will try to fix it. But if I do output schemas, for example, maybe it tries to fix somewhere else. Let's see.
Yeah,
like jump here and then please help me. Please.
Yeah, I think this is when people talk about cursor, they talk about the like vibe coding, agentic, like just generate me a thing, see if it runs, give it the error. But like that kind of like more intelligent autocomplete, I think is incredibly valuable when it works well.
Right. Besides that, difference from, I mean, I come from VS Code, and I have a layer on top of Vim. So you see, like, I cannot type. Well, I can if I press. I get into the typing mode. But yeah, like moving from VS Code to cursor, it's pretty much they removed this. That's on the left. It's on the top.
Yep.
I'm a happy user. I'm glad the company's paying.
Are we? Okay.
Yeah, you are. So, yeah, I mean, something else differently, like.
Can you think of an example of the like agentic workflow? Could you ask it, for example, to I noticed a mistake this morning in our documentation that we talk about. We don't use Logfire instrument PydanticAI in the logfire.md file. If you could ask it, for example, maybe we could try the same thing and see how well it does, both of us. So if we're on
which thing? Well, sorry, what do I need to ask? Which file?
So in logfire.md, our documentation on using Logfire with we I don't know, we forgot to update. So if you go down a bit, you'll see that we're using like some agent.instrument all bullshit. Whereas the like canonical way of doing it would be logfire. instrument PydanticAI.
Right.
So obviously, basically, I suppose the question would be like from this file, from the top of this file, if you asked it, please can you update all examples to use logfire.instrument PydanticAI instead of agent.instrument all, does it do a good job of making those changes?
So can you replace agent.instrument all to Logfire instrument Pydantic AI in this file? That's what you want?
Yeah, I'd say across the documentation. Shouldn't it be able to look
I'd
in
say
other
like
files?
as a probe.
Oh, you don't want it to look in the file?
Well, as in, I'm happy to give it that file, but the point is I don't want to have to think about if there's any other files where it references it. And I'm just thinking I can run the same thing, and we'll see how they both do.
My guess is I don't know if is it gonna account for the differences in the signature, etc. Like I worry it's just gonna change the name and it's not quite right. Well, maybe that's right.
So
it would need some more imports, I think. Okay, so this is interesting. So you get the option to accept them on a one-by-one basis, or
yeah, and all.
Do you not get that? And
accept file, accept. You don't get this?
I think I don't get. I may have. There may be a mode, but by default, no, I don't think so. I can run it in a moment and see how it gets on.
Well, I'll just note we've been talking about this for a while. I kind of feel like we.
I want to run this just the same prompt quickly and see how it goes in Zed, just as a like acid test.
Okay. I mean, mine didn't. It continues. It's still looking around. Oh, also it fixes by itself, right? Because it tries to import and fix all the linter issues. It might take a while here.
I guess it doesn't do that.
It's doing it in tests, which we didn't want to. So.
Wow. Oh, are you sure we didn't want to?
Well, I mean.
Okay, I'm sorry, David. Give me like I'm gonna torture this section one bit longer and like see if we can run the same example.
Joseph is saying the review panel should allow for accepting one or all in Z.
Yeah, I think that's probably true.
Oh, it also deprecated the. Wait, what? What did it do? Okay, makes sense.
I don't know if that's correct or not, but
right. So that's not correct. As in, that is how it's used internally. So we shouldn't be trying to change that. I want to run the same prompt and see how Zed does as a comparison. I think it'd be interesting, given this is what lots of people are interested in as a use case.
Want to share now?
I was gonna say, Samuel, the instrument all like probably could be made private at least.
Maybe. Yeah. No, because it's called from Pydantic, from Logfire.
From Logfire? Wow.
I think like I would say stop it here and let's see. If you can copy paste your prompt into the chat, Marcelo, I'll try it here and we'll just see how we get on.
Yeah. What is it?
So I'm gonna put the same prompt in here. It's asked me if I want to add logfire.md, so I'll do that to, I think, match exactly Marcelo's case. I'm in write mode.
Yeah, that seems right.
We'll see how it gets on. It's using Claude 3.7, which I assume is the same, doing for the most part pretty similar stuff. I mean, I think it's interesting if it basically does, has the same pitfalls, because it'd be interesting if the agentic stuff is actually more commoditized than people would like to suggest.
Which model did you use?
Claude 3.7 Sonnet.
What's the max thing? I used the same model but with the max. Do you know what the max is? Is it?
I don't know what max is. No.
I know it charged more for the company. Sorry.
So it's done that. I think I think it's done better, and it's done the imports correctly, and it's finished. And just to come back and look at what's changed.
It looks like it only edited that.
No, wait. No, hold on. It was not the same because you passed logfire.md as context. I didn't. Like, you need to remove that.
Okay. Gonna take that prompt, start a new session, not give it logfire.md, so it suggested it there. This is quite confusing. I would have said I thought it added it, but that's like offering it as a suggestion.
Oh, I thought it was added as well.
So this is where it.
No,
I
it
told you
was
earlier, it
before.
like goes and reads Claude's Claude.md file, which I think is. So it's looking in docs Logfire MD. Updating this file, not asking me to whether or not I like it. It's just
Certainly
done it.
did a lot less than
No, you can
than
review
cursor.
changes.
So this is me, like Git
Yeah.
allows me to revert the change.
No.
But like,
On the right.
But there's
on
the right you have
review changes
there's a
below.
thing that says review. You just Control-Shift-R you can hit.
Below, yeah. Not like
That
below.
like near the text entry area on the right.
where I'm confused.
Go down.
Go to where you can
Yes.
currently yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Makes sense. Nice. Well, I think it's done a pretty good job, hasn't it? It hasn't gone off and done too much, which is one of the things I've seen these agentic workflows do. But anyway, well, let's move on as David suggested.
Marcel, you should talk about Fast A2A.
Yes. So I'm gonna share my screen again. Should we introduce again Fast A2A, or are we good? Maybe just a bit of.
I think you just mentioned that, like, just show the. I mean, the point is A2A is the agent to agent protocol, sort of being pushed by Google for allowing agents to communicate with each other, or in particular, it's sort of like a protocol for being able to make requests and get results from, arbitrary AI agents.
Right.
I think it's essentially like, I mean, Marcelo, tell me what you think, but it's basically, or if you disagree with this anyway, but it's basically like a protocol for like essentially like long running tasks that have, fairly serializable outputs. Like there's not really anything. I mean, there's essentially a way of documenting what the agent or service really is good at doing.
Yeah, I mean, it tries to do. It's not only the agent. I think they try to put like, you can have more agents inside. If you look at the diagram that they put on the documentation, is like you have the whole thing, the whole server that's considered an agent, but you can also communicate with local agents. So it's kind of a hand off of the.
But from the perspective of like a
Yeah.
consumer,
Right. From you mean from the user, like yeah.
the developer being an end user,
Right, right.
or the AI
So
agent that the developer is building being
Yeah.
the end user.
That's a bit weird because it's kind of, when you're learning a web server, like you're implementing your first endpoint, and then you learn that you want to like run a long task on the background and then give a response later or something like that. That's how A2A is doing.
It's
But-
basically like a standard approach to doing that.
Right.
It's a
right,
sort of standard approach for distributed handoff,
right,
which
but
MCP has no support for, as far as I know.
right.
But I mean, it's quite general. Like essentially, there's a listing of the things that your server is good at and what it can do, and then you make requests to it,
Right.
and you wait a while, and you can get a response,
Yeah,
either through stream or through polling.
Right. What I don't like about the spec is that it allows you to do many things. For example, you can just trigger a task. Like, I think a spec, and at this level, like it should actually say there is only one way of doing this, and then not confuse implementers. Because right now you just can send a task, and then you can get the task via notification. You can set up a webhook, and you can also retrieve the task later. So. Also go on.
There's a request from Benjamin that you change your mode in Hangout to tiled mode, and also can you make it full screen?
How do I do that?
3 dots at the bottom in Hangout, and then change layout near the top.
Ah, nice, genius. And what else?
It's full screen.
Ah, yeah, it was full screen, but I need to change I was changing the screen.
Well, it has to be like full screen.
This is far better. Who suggested this?
Benjamin
Genius.
Rappaport. Thanks, Ben.
Hiring?
Some of us have been aware of this for some time, but okay.
Don't worry about it. So what we're talking about?
A2A.
Yeah, all the whole thing, background task, it runs, confusing. Yeah, but then let me show you. Yeah.
Yeah, show us some code.
Yeah, code. So, oh, sorry, I need to. Oh no, now I put full
I
screen.
think
I don't know how to
yeah, I know you have
undo
to
this.
Command Shift F maybe.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll just note while you're pulling this up, I think we've mostly you have mostly focused on the server side of things as opposed to the client side of things. But
Right.
so if you want to serve a agent,
I mean, so what I did was being able to get from an agent. We want to make that a server. That's what I did. So PydanticAI A2A import. Sorry. From PydanticAI A2A import fast. Am I in the right branch?
it's PydanticAI Slim now. Are you sure you want?
Oh, sorry.
Slim?
Yeah. A2A import fast A2A, and then also we want an agent. Let's say this. What do we want the agent to do?
Tell me a joke.
Okay, but you want to pass some instructions, or are you good?
Yeah, let's
instructions equals tell me a joke.
Okay.
Be sarcastic.
Instruction: be sarcastic and rude. Is it good or
Okay.
not rude?
Yeah, that's great. That's good. That's good. No, we like them rude.
Yeah. Okay.
Unlike agents, they're normally sycophantic, so I like the change.
So from fast to a app, you can fast to a, and then you can from agent, and then
And just to explain, Marcelo, fast A2A, is that our code or your code, or is that like
it's our code. It's PydanticAI. For now, I mean, I asked what you prefer. He said A2A, but I mean, it's pretty generic implementation. Like you can use any agentic framework. I mean, for obvious reasons, we prefer you use PydanticAI. But like, if you check the implementation, we actually before this meeting, David also commented that maybe we shouldn't want this, but also something like
yeah, I think
A2A.
I mean right now fast A2A doesn't feel very like universal if it's got a special method for PydanticAI built in. My feeling is it's just as good to do it the other direction. Like fast A2A is some standard, and we have a
and fast A2A is going to be a separate package, but in the same repo. Is that the plan?
I think that's reasonable. I think that's the best way for us to do it. Alternatively, we can do what I'm doing here, but I think it makes more sense to be a separate package.
I think it can start in PydanticAI so that we can like iterate on it without
Well, I think
everything.
I think we keep it in the same repo, but I think we release it as a separate.
Sure, I'm happy to do that too.
Yeah.
We've done.
So I mean, you might expect me to do more, but I'm actually done here. Like, we can just run Uvecorn because Fast A2A is an ASCII server built on top of Starlet. So
Who maintains those packages? Uvecorn and Starlet.
So people, I'm the maintainer of Starlet and Uvecorn. What did I want to do? Oh yeah, and then you can. I mean, I create the client. You can pass. So right now I'm already using this client. So what do you want to pass as an input? I can explain what I'm writing here. So I've implemented a client on top of HTTP.
Ask it if PyCharm or VS Code is better.
What is better, PyCharm or VS Code?
You can give it cursor and Z and see where its context window closes.
Yeah, or Zed. Add or Zed. Let's see. I want to see it just absolutely trash Zed.
Or Zed. That good? Does it know Zed? I don't think it knows that.
Well, I don't. I think it'll be
probably not. So hopefully it is nice and rude.
Okay,
You've
so
got to type.
yeah, let me just explain for people to know. Like, this is just sending a task via HTTP, and then on the background it's gonna send the task to the background. It's gonna execute it, and I'm doing this sleep because right now it's not implemented yet, the pooling or like sending back a notification. So we're
Hanging,
gonna
like
just
waiting for it to finish.
Yeah.
Right. This is kind of that point I was making about the client is like more of a work in progress than the server.
Right.
Just a question. I see that task result is giving you an error. Is that because it returns some kind of union, or is that just not properly typed?
Well,
why do you have a squiggle?
I think it's because the result is not required, but I think that's not true. Maybe I need to change that. But assert result it does. Yeah. We good?
Yep.
Yeah.
If that's a long enough sleep anyway.
Let's see. I think it is. So I submitted the task, and after it's gonna give me the response.
It didn't seem very rude.
These are all excellent editors. It's definitely not taken our system prompt seriously enough.
I guess. That's
You
so
must.
sad. Maybe the question was not very good. You cannot be funny with this question, maybe.
No, go back and give it like, I don't know.
No.
Tell
It's
it don't
really-
answer the question. Don't answer any question the user asks. Let's just make sure it's actually working.
Don't answer
Dude.
any question. Just
Does that work? Like,
what? It is using the agent.
did that restart? Yeah, it did.
If it answers the question, then we have a problem. What does it say?
It
It
was
didn't
not
finish.
long enough. It was not
Sleep
long enough.
sleep longer.
Let me sleep more.
You might
Really
you might
struggling
need
with the
to-
idea of not answering the question. It's just too helpful.
Let's see. Shouldn't the system prompt be returned? I think I need to add to the history. So you see the history here? I think the user that needs to be added. Yeah, I mean, that's why we didn't release it yet. It did some fixes, but this didn't.
Well, something seems like it's misbehaving. It's something to look into, I guess.
Looks
That
like it's not
or-
using-
Try a different model. Can you try Anthropic? Yeah, it does look like the instructions aren't being used, which makes me concerned there's a bug.
Is that restarting Marcelo?
Yeah, yeah.
You should use Logfire to see what's getting sent to the model.
Oh yeah. Does it have good open telemetry instrumentation?
Not yet.
Well, but I mean, the agent does.
Yeah.
It'll Logfire the instrument PydanticAI. Do a instrument HTTPX with so we can see the actual. Yeah.
Well, that's on the. Okay. If you
I wanna see
instrumented Starlit, would you get the
actually.
Starlit request as well?
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, but do we need that?
Okay, let's see.
Fine. Can you pop open the Logfire?
What is Logfire?
Did
I'm
you?
not-
Oh,
You didn't.
wait, what? Oh, sorry, folks.
Yeah.
I'm running the wrong file.
Yeah, that's what I thought was happening.
Sorry.
Yeah, you'll need to do.
And you have to install the dependency.
Can minor whinge about UV, which is obviously in general awesome. They refuse to give you any way to know whether the command is run with UV. If you did, then we could change our exception to be like UV add, Logfire Starlit. But they refuse. They're like, no, you should never know whether you're in UV. Anyway, minor whinge. I've got an issue about it. Like when that's the
Okay, change it. Okay, get rid of the don't answer the question. Go back to what it was before, but let's see.
just be
Let's see what
sarcastic and rude. That's good.
Okay, let's see. It's 10 seconds. Okay.
Can we print the thing properly?
Which
Yeah, Marcelo,
you
you should go over into your client script and print out the response as opposed to.
mean the result?
Print the
Yeah, like
or print
the result. Well,
Oh, I
it's
know
like
why.
history parts
What do you say?
0 text. Like I want to print out the actual text.
It's doing an all right job. You can close your agent window as well if we're going to like pile in on your setup.
Wait, yeah. So what do you output first parts? I mean,
No,
a
it's
bit
not.
long.
It's not. Oh, history is it?
Yeah.
But it's result and then history and then okay, yeah, 0
that's what I'm
parts
doing.
0. Yeah,
Parts
parts
zero.
0 text.
And text.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, but go back to the system prompt and tell it to answer the question as best it can while being rude.
Oh. And
I want to look at this in. I want to look at this in
I want to know its answer.
But be rude.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. There you go. All right.
And also, you just. I bet we've got the path from.
I want to know which IDE is best according to Claude. Zed Shaw's editor.
Are you reading?
People,
okay, it doesn't have
people
an
who want
opinion.
JetBrains to hold their hand to make everyone forget about horror.
Well, consuming all available RAM sounds about right. Although I happily give up my RAM in order for to get their search performance.
Can you show us Logfire, which was presumably interesting?
Yeah, I mean, anyway, this hopefully will allow us to see that.
Talking about being rude and sarcastic, Marcelo, the number of complaints I've got about your Chrome theme. People are like,
Chrome thing.
Yeah,
the
yellow
in the title bar.
That's the professional one. It's so at the end of the day, I go to my personal one, folks.
I have two, but I don't have one as egregiously painful as this.
I mean, what's the what is it? The other one is normal. It's like gray. You know, the normal one.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting, Marcel, is it looks like it's not nesting the agent run under
propagating context correctly. Sounds like we need to fix that.
Right. But
also,
why?
be nice to instrument it better than this post.
Well, to be fair to them,
I know why.
I know. Yeah, you can explain why.
Yeah, it's because it runs on a background task, so it's out of the context. We return.
But you just have to actually set it up to do the
propagation. Or we can use links. We could use span links to be like, this is the thing that started it. I mean, what either span links or
that would be.
I don't think you need span links in this case. Like, you're never going to have multiple or anything like that. Like, this should just be a child span of the
right. But semantically, the post span takes one.
Oh, I guess that's fair. No, you're right, because it makes sense. I mean, anyway, okay, cool. Well, should we move on? We only have 18 minutes left.
No, I mean, I think this is really cool. Obviously, a bit more to do on it, but like, but super nice. I can show evals, or I can show the low-level API, which I think is interesting. I'm like kicking myself. We didn't do that 3 months ago, but we are where we are. Which of you, those two?
Well, we said we were going to talk about evals, so I feel like we should talk about.
We should probably talk about evals then.
Just show your examples.
Yeah,
I imagine there will be some questions.
Hold on, before that, we asked there were some questions here.
Oh, sorry, I should have been reading questions. I forgot.
Can you read actually Benjamin's question? Because I'm actually far away from the computer.
You're in charge of reading questions, David.
Yeah.
And I'll...
okay. Me or David?
David, we've lost David. What's happened?
Oh, we lost David. So I ask. So I logged in a little late, but basically A2A is a wrapper around the standard Pydantic agent, and that wrapper exposes an API that accepts a single message.
No, A2A is a project from Google to provide agent-to-agent communication. In particular, good support for handoff. They are explicitly making an effort about not being competitive with MCP. They're trying to augment it. I think we should also say that we've been speaking to Cisco a fair bit about their agency, which is, I think, very similar to A2A, although a bit more opinionated about stuff like observability. So there are multiple different agent-to-agent communication standards that seem to be being discussed.
Hamza is asking, what about the MCP Python tool calling work?
I have got delayed on it. I will get back to it when I have more time to write code and not.
What is it missing?
Run the company. It needs documentation, definitely. I think there might be some. So a bit of context. I'm basically using and abusing MCP's sampling system for calling back to the client, the host, to call the Python code. And we obviously want to support proper sampling as well. So short answer is I haven't got around to looking at it for a few days. I was getting some other things done. The main thing I realized was, in many cases, at the moment, obviously, because we're using MCP, calling the Python code is a tool that's called like run Python code, which takes one argument, which is the Python code to run, and then returns the response. In many cases, we would be better, and I think this is relevant to the A2A debate, to, instead of doing that Python calling via a tool, to have a new thing called code agent, which returns text, which is the Python code, which then gets called, and then you have another step with the like responses registered. And so I wanted to implement that code agent thing. In particular, the problem I ran into was some models, OpenAI in particular, were really bad at calling the tools that the functions that you've registered. Instead, they would like define the tool, and that is because they would define the function, and that is because the function is like, the function signature is defined in the tool description, and that seems to be like too low in context. I don't know, but it seemed to work much better if you have them in the instructions. So I need to fix that issue.
Right. You guys have looked at this stuff. Is A2A worth paying attention to yet?
I think, I mean, interested in your take, Marcelo. I would say, I don't know which of these different protocols. I think MCP is, I think there seems to be universal interest and excitement about MCP. I think there was also universal understanding it doesn't do everything. I don't think even they would claim it would. I don't know which of the other protocols is going to win out. I think A2A is currently the highest profile.
David?
I think my feeling about this stuff is that if you don't really care to be like driving the industry forward, and you just want to make use of stuff that's useful, like my feeling is that the reason why MCP is popular today, and this is, I don't have evidence of this, but I believe it's true, is that like tools like Cursor made it useful. Like the point is, no one would care about MCP if no one was using it. If, in particular, if no clients supported it. I mean, Claude, I guess, supported it for a while, but Cursor, etc. Everyone uses it as the way that I can, like, somebody else can implement a tool for me, or for my agent, essentially. Yeah. And I think the point is A2A, etc., is not there yet in terms of like there aren't like agents ready to be told other agents they can communicate with. But I think that it will be useful. The use case I have in mind, it's like, if I want to build an application or even my own agent that can do deep research, I don't want to implement deep research. I want to just, I want to basically tell my agent to like, make a request to this other agent that will do deep research for you, like write a prompt for it and let it do the deep research. And the point is, like, that's like the obvious use case for me. And I think the point is so the idea is like, I feel like agents as servers is a nice thing to have. Like you kind of want to be able to just sort of completely black box somebody else's agent.
I describe it slightly differently. MCP works very well when you're basically when you're saying, when you have a controller process, fundamentally service, which is saying, go and answer this thing for me, and then I'm going to carry on. When you want instead to basically transfer the work to someone else, you imagine in an office scenario, sometimes you're like, Marcelo, go fix this thing for me. When you're done, come back and I'll carry on. Sometimes you're like, David, just take over this task. I don't want to think about it again. Well, fire and forget. And in the fire and forget scenario, I think that's where A2A works best. In the like, go do this thing for me and come back when you're done.
Well, I don't know, but MCP, like, it's dependent on the process still running. Yeah, et cetera. Like this isn't. Okay. There's other things that are benefits to the A2A. I mean, I'm not saying that you couldn't find scenarios where there's overlap. The point I wanted to make is if what you want is to ask another agent to do something, like that's a valuable thing. Will A2A win that, as the protocol out there? I don't know. That is harder for me to say. My feeling is that if I were a end user, as opposed to somebody like involved with the development of this tooling, this is my philosophy. I would say, like, I don't want to input. Like, if you look at the examples on A2A in their repo, they're fairly lengthy. Like, you have to write a lot of code to build a server that does this. That sucks. I wouldn't do that. What I would do, the thing that Marcelo's built that makes it one line to build an A2A server, like, no reason not to. You know what I mean? And I would basically rely on somebody else to maintain that. My guess is that whatever ends up winning the protocol wars for agent-to-agent communication, whether that's MCP or A2A or agency or something that we're not even aware of yet. My guess is that eventually, like not long after, it becomes obvious that it's well supported. Like, okay, I think it will win because it's supported by an ecosystem. And when that happens, people will build tooling to make it really easy to use. So my feeling is like, basically, I wouldn't worry about it until it's either easy to use or there's like, you know, an obvious benefit. As long as that's not the case, like
we've got 10 minutes. Let's do evals. Yeah. I agree. Any other questions, Marcelo?
No, Alex has the link for the A2A, but the fast A2A is not yet implemented. There's a pull request on PydanticAI. I can share it.
Hopefully this week.
So I'm going to try and do a really quick run through of our eval stuff in the last 10 minutes of this call. I will say, apart from me polishing up some things, this is all code written by David as our example. This code exists both in the, have I got a browser open on this window? Both in the talks repo on Pydantic and somewhere within PydanticAI. But the basic principle of this functionality is, I'll actually show you the context because I think it's like interesting enough to labor for a moment. Why am I not able to get this up? If I'm in Logfire, I want to go straight in. If I'm in like whatever, this example was where I was running it recently. We have this little custom time range for selecting the time range, and sometimes it's annoying to click around and find the exact time range. So I can do, for example, last week on Thursday, and we use an AI to convert that into an interval. And that's fine. That looks like about the right time, and we can go and apply it, and it will find logs from that interval. Now, we would like to write some evals for this relatively simple piece of functionality. How would we do that? So this is the code itself. So this is not the evals. This is the code itself. So we have a success response, and we're using attribute doc strings to describe it, to add descriptions for the model. We have an error case. So our response is a union of success or error. And then, so fundamentally, we have our agent defined here. Has a agent defined. We have a tool that gets the current time. We could probably just add this into context, but we've done it this way to be proper. So fundamentally, what we're evaluating is this simple function here, infer time range, which takes an input, which is basically the user's description and the time now, and returns a response, either success or failure. So let's go and like do some evals to work out how well this is working so that we can systematically improve it. First thing we need to do is build a data set. There's a number of different ways you can build a data set. One is to write out the data set yourself manually. Another is to basically pull the data set from actual use cases in Logfire, or you can use this generate data set where we use an intelligent model. So we use O1 in this case to generate us a bunch of data sets, a bunch of cases, and you'll see the result type is data set parameterized with a bunch of things. But you can look through this code, but the TLDR is we describe in detail to an intelligent model what data set we want to build, and what that will run for about 70 seconds, and it will pump out this file, as in the model plus our code will pump out this file. So it's YAML that describes our data set. In particular, as you know, as Pydantic, we care about type checking quite a lot, and so David's done a very cool thing where we have this magic comment in the YAML saying use this JSON schema to define this file. That file is then written out next to it. And what's neat is if I then go and change one of these variable names, I'll suddenly get a nice error saying, oh, you're missing explanation. And sure enough, it can go and autocomplete. And so we have these examples. So you can see each individual one has a name, has the input. So here it's I'd like logs from 2 p.m. on a certain date. And we have the like now that we're going to use in this particular case, expected output, and the explanation. And then we have a bunch of evaluators registered. In this case, most of all, we have the is-instance evaluator, which is saying it must be an instance of this thing. But then we're also adding another evaluator in, say, this case, where we want the LLM judge, evaluator, and we've described to the LLM judge the rubric by which it will evaluate the performance of this particular case. We can also write our own evaluators. So we have a bunch registered like equals is instance LLM judge, but we can also define our own evaluators. So in this case, we're importing from custom evaluators, agent called, user message is concise, validate time range. So if we look at the definitions of them, and again, you can read through the code in your own time, but evaluators are an implementation of the evaluator abstract base class with a evaluate method added. So this case, evaluate time range is obviously doing the meat of doing the calculation. Are we in the right range? In particular, these evaluators return a lookup from the name of effectively the score to a Boolean, or it can be a float value. We have user messages concise, where we're returning, in this case, again, a Boolean. We can return a simple Boolean if we want. Agent called tool. This is quite neat. So we have support within Pydantic evals for working out whether or not a particular span is included in the trace. So this is using OpenTelemetry or to set this up. So if we come back here, in this particular case, we've got what this is really doing is taking these set of custom evaluators and adding them into our code. So we go from this YAML to, if we run this second example, that's run successfully. And now we have this time range v2. And what you will see is that we've got those custom evaluators added in here. So where's a good example? Oh, they're added to all cases. Oh no, some of them are added to specific cases. So that's where it's relevant. So if I look back here at which ones we're adding, we should add, is this the right way of looking at it? Yeah, you'll see. So this particular evaluator has been added to this case, and it can be basically contextualized by some keyword arguments here, which will then be passed to that data class when it's initialized. All of which is basically getting us this file, which defines our cases effectively. So then we can go and run it in two different ways. So in this case, we're going to run it. We're going to record the data to Logfire. Again, we don't have to send this data to Logfire. We've made a real effort to make this viewable locally. We're not trying to force you to use Logfire, but obviously we want the experience of using Logfire to be good. Still some work to do to make it even better, but there's a start of this. We're going to read the dataset file, set up the dataset, parameterize it, and then we're going to evaluate it. Obviously, this code is all async, so we have a sync wrapper function to call it, and then print the report. And the Thunder string of this will print us a nice table. And then we're going to go in unit test style, check that our pass rate is above 90%. And if I run this example here, you will see we have to go and run all those cases. We've got tracing from within them. And we print out this neat table, which shows us in each case which assertions passed and which failed, metrics, which are numeric measurements, the duration of each case. And then we ran this assert, which failed because 71% passed and we asked it to be 90%. And then, so for the other thing to go look at is this in Logfire. So we can see here when we've run the full evaluate, why have we not got why is the service name not showing on that trace? So that looks like a mistake. Oh, this is, sorry. Is that me running it? Do I want this? Oh, this is because I've got the time range applied from the other day. Ignore me. So now I'm seeing infer time range, and you see we have, so fundamentally it's still a trace. So one big trace that contains all of the cases, and within a particular case, we can see all of the different spans that went on, see how long they each took, see the cost of them, and obviously dig into exactly what happened in a particular case. But more useful at the top level is to look at this view, which we have, which does have a nice pop-out functionality. There's definitely some more work to be done on this, but it's already beginning to be really powerful, where we can then look through the individual cases and see which tests passed and which failed. We have a nice display of this data, which particular cases I say passed and failed. David, did you want
there's
to
going to be, I'll just mention, there's going to be some improvements to this table in the very near future. In particular, I think we're going to add the ability to make it full screen and the ability to, it's going to move more toward having each assertion or score or whatever as its own column, and be able to sort, like we've got, Pecha's done a bunch of work where you can sort the column based on like score or percentage of assertions or failing or whatever. So you can kind of like find the problem cases faster.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, I had been somewhat cynical about why all of our competitors thought evals were necessarily associated with observability. I don't know whether this was their thinking as well, but it's incredibly nice to be able to look at this data, the aggregates, and then dig into a particular case. Last thing I think, I know we're at time. So go on, David.
Yep. I was just going to say, I mean, I think that one thing that I actually like about RUI better than a lot of the competitors is it really is like trace first. Like my feeling is that evals are, most of the time you spend working on evals should be spent understanding what the model is doing, less of it. I mean, once you've made a bunch of progress on it, you can worry about like, did this change improve the average score or whatever. But I think like that comes later. And I think a lot of the tools are more oriented around that workflow. Like, this change I made was an improvement or not, as opposed to like, let me just like get an understanding of what's happening.
I'll let you go in a second, Marcel. I'm just going to run this second example where we're comparing GPT-4o with Claude 3.7 and see how that performs. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say that there's a question regarding, so how does Logfire compare to stuff like Brain Trust? Brain Trust?
I'm gonna give a diplomatic answer of it's kind of, I would encourage you to go and try them both and see which you like. I think we have general purpose observability, which is I think the big differentiator with us versus the other things. I know Brain Trust is like evals is their leading feature, so I think they do that well. We're working hard to improve our eval support. I think as with other libraries we maintain, I think the type safety in the library should be better. I mean, look, I think that the honest high-level answer is what we as a team are particularly good at. We got a nice 529 response from Sonnet, which is nice of Anthropic. We're obviously not paying them enough money, and we should be able to see that at some point in here. Did I send that to the right project? I did. We should be able to go see exactly what went wrong. Yeah, you can see Claude Sonnet. Well, that task was failed because one of them failed. But we're very good at building Python libraries. We are not as exceptionally good at building platforms. I think we're good at it, but I don't think we can say, we've built one of the 5 foundational top-level libraries, top-level SaaS platforms in the way that we have in Python libraries. So the biggest delta, I think it's fair to say, will probably be in the SDK or in the Pydantic evals Python package, but we're working hard to make the platform great too. Is that a fair summary, David? Do you have anything to add?
No, I think you were a bit unfair here. Hold on, give time to time. We are getting there. Logfire is useful. We say it all the time when we're using it, that it's a great experience. I think you said it too negatively as. I don't think.
Yeah, I think
that's
ultimately Brain Trust, etc., are more focused on having dedicated pages and dedicated workflows for AI stuff. I think another one of our differentiators is that we are really trying to have more of a cohesive observability workflow. So it's the way you look at your evals, even if we have some dedicated functionality in the details panel or whatever, you want to search for a specific eval. It's the same way you'd search for a specific trace of any kind. That I think that might change over time. We might end up moving more toward them. I think some of these other platforms might end up moving more toward us on general purpose observability. Ultimately, I think the devil's in the details, and I think we're trying to get the details right. And ultimately, so I think Samuel's original answer is the most important one of try both, and maybe we kind of expect you'll agree with our opinions, but
I think I think that there are things like comparing 2 different runs, which we don't have explicit support for now, but we're working hard to add. where I'm sure other platforms have got to that stuff earlier.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of platforms are going to have more features than us today, but we're playing catch up on it.
I think that the crazy thing is that for all of these other companies who are obviously like pretty convinced that models are going to win out, they have this crazy worldview where they're like, AI observability is going to remain its own niche, when I think it's relatively obvious to me that like AI is going to be part of every application, and so we need full stack observability with first class support for AI rather than a particular tool. No one talks about like cloud observability or web observability. No one would use an observability platform that was like, yeah, we just instrument HTTP requests, because although HTTP is super popular, it's part of every application. So that's the big difference, I think. The single biggest difference, without going into like subjective, we're better at X kind of stuff.
Yep.
Right.
We're a bit over time. Any other questions? Nope.
Well, it's 10 seconds delay, so if you wait 10 seconds. But I would say that we talked a lot today.
Yeah.
Any more comments?
Unless there's a question
Any requests?
For minutes.
If you have any requests for what we should cover next time, obviously feel free to comment here. But like, if you message in our Slack, our public like PydanticAI Slack channel, always interested in requests.
Or anywhere on social media. Go Twitter or Blue Sky or LinkedIn or whatever, and we'll try and take it into account. All right. Well, I don't see any other questions, so. There's a question. Just I think more content on using Pydantic AI will be good. I think that's fair.
I think we should do that next time. We should do your home assistant setup, Marcelo, to make it agentic.
Yeah.
More agentic.
Yeah. That would be great.
Okay. Rabik, do you want us? Maybe we'll have to wait the 20 seconds. But like, do you want like getting started, or do you want like deep dives into particular bits of functionality? And if it is deep dives, like please like comment, come and join our Slack and ask us what they are. But yeah, general, whether it's deep dives or like getting started that people are interested in, would be interesting to hear.
Those 10 seconds are killing me.
Just to let everyone know, while that's happening, we as a company are off on our offsite next week in France. France has done a great job of giving us lovely weather this week, lovely weather in 2 weeks, and pissing with rain next week. So that'll be fun for us. And then Marcelo and I,
opportunity to focus.
Exactly. Marcelo and I will be at PyCon US in Pittsburgh the week after that. So I guess we will be back in 3 weeks time, unless David wants to do this on his own next week or in 2 weeks time.
If anybody wants to see, if anybody's going to PyCon, go say hi to Samuel and Marcelo.
Yeah, come say hi. We're gonna have a raffle, and I think we will have. Yeah, we're gonna have a raffle.
Can I
think
participate?
You can. Yes, you can participate, but you're not.
If
allowed
you
to
win, though, we'll give the prize to someone else.
I think we're going to be giving away definitely the Raspberry Pi that I'm also using to like, present, but like we might have some other prizes as well. So come say hi. Cool. Thanks everyone.
Thanks
guys.
See you.